Billy, thank you for joining us. I'm Jonathan with Osiris Media, the Broke Down Podcast, and really happy to be here at Delfest with you.
Thank you, man. We're all happy to be here.
Aren't we? Are we, though?
Yes,
So
absolutely.
You played Delfest. This is, I think, your fourth appearance officially, but, I mean, tell me, how special is Delfest?
Yeah, 4 or 5. It's really one of the best ones that we get to play all year, or, every year. We've been back a couple years in a row, so we're really grateful for that, but it's cool. I've sort of worked my way up a little bit, the first few times I was coming here, I remember waking up in a tent over there and the sun just beating in, and Jason Isbell was sound checking, and so that was probably 4 years ago at least, and I've been here a few times since then, so it feels like almost every year. I can't remember if I've even missed one in the last few years.
I would try not to, I think.
Yeah, I'm trying.
Yeah, right on. So we've got a great lineup again this year. Is there anybody on the lineup that you're hoping to catch? I saw you sitting with the Broomsticks just a little bit ago.
That was awesome, man. I love that band. I've never seen String Cheese Incident, and I've been a fan for a long time. And I'm just so excited to see their show tonight. 2 sets. It's really exciting. They're one of the bands that sort of got me into this scene a little bit. I was really into classic bluegrass, and until I kind of heard about them and Green Sky and String Dusters and Yonder, and I kind of branched out thanks to String Cheese Incident and Green Sky Bluegrass and bands like that. And I think kind of involving some of that improvisational stuff in my music is actually what's helped me get a little further up the road,
Yeah, you've had kind of a explosive arc, if you will. Maybe you don't. Maybe it doesn't seem that way from inside. How does that feel? Have you felt like you've propelled, or has it felt very natural and gradual for yourself?
I mean, I'm seeing more people coming out to our shows, and that feels really good. But I'm also so kind of in the moment that it's hard to notice any of the overall progress until you really take a step back and okay, where was I 2 years ago?
Right.
That's when I can be like, man, we are kind of chugging along here. But yeah, it's hard to notice it really because we're just so busy all the time,
Right. Well, yeah. What's your summer looking like from here on out? Just on the road the whole time?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of how it is lately, or at least the last 4 or 5 years, man. It's been about 200 gigs a year,
Wow.
And so that means I'm home for 3 days, and I'm gone for a week, and then I'm home for a couple days, and I'm gone for a month, and I'm home for a week, and, those little... I'm not home very much, is what I'm trying to say.
It's a lot of work, but it hopefully continues to pay off.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's fun to be on the road, It's fun to travel and meet people and make friends and see all the different places, man, and just kind of take it all in, It's really a wonderful thing. Some people don't get to travel very much, or, maybe they get stuck in the same town, even maybe their hometown that they grew up in. But I think traveling has been one of the most positive things in my life, just to see from a different perspective,
Yeah, it opens your eyes.
Totally opens my mind,
So you mentioned String Cheese leading you to kind of more progressive edge of bluegrass, if you will. I've noticed that in some of your set lists, you're pushing bluegrass almost not quite out the window, but you're playing electric. You're covering Black Sabbath, Grateful Dead, which is near and dear to my heart. I remember listening to one just a couple weeks ago, and you had Joe Walsh in the set list and a whole amazing set of covers. Where does that fit in, do you think, in Delfest land or just out there on the road? Are you just trying to open the doors up further?
Yeah, I think a lot of those tunes you mentioned, was for a electric gig with a rock band that I played at Aiken a couple weeks ago, and that was with Chris Jacobs and his band. And so I think that was my chance to play some of those classic rock songs from the 70s that I grew up on and that I love, Edgar Winter Band and Black Sabbath and, Thin Lizzy and just all that good old stuff, man. I really like music from the 70s. I just think it was good back then.
It was pretty good back then.
But I don't know. I think I grew up listening to bluegrass, and then later on I got into some heavier stuff like rock and roll, and my parents listened to everything, and they taught me about everything. So I like it all, you know, and I just try to incorporate all of the influences and all the bands that I've listened to growing up, you know. My brain is like a musical goulash. It's like, you know, just a...
Sounds like my record collection.
Yeah.
So, the Chris Jacobs Band is really good. They were here last year. And
Yeah.
I actually know Dusty a little bit from the drummer from Richmond.
Yeah,
So
man.
He's a great guy.
He's killer.
Yeah, he is. I saw you play your guitar, the prison guitar,
Yeah.
on stage just a little bit ago with the broomsticks. I know you've probably told the story about this guitar a little bit, but I remember following along as it was refurbished following along on Instagram, and I was wondering if you could tell us a little bit about that, the story of that guitar.
It's a long story, you know, but I can kind of tell a little bit of it. You know, it's crazy. Like, my grandpa built a guitar when he was in prison in the early 60s, and for a long time it was just kind of in pieces. And when I was a little kid, I remember finding it in my grandmother's closet, and you know, when I was like 5 years old or something, and it didn't work, you know.
Right.
But my grandpa built it, and then so, you know, like a year ago or something, I just all of a sudden remembered finding that guitar in the closet when I was snooping around. And so I called my mom and was like, didn't Grandpa build a guitar? And she's like, yeah, call your Uncle Billy. And I called him and was like, hey, did your dad build a guitar? And he's like, yeah, it's in my basement. So I was like, bring it to me now. And so he brought it to me, and I had my friend Dave Johnson, Scale Model Guitars in Nashville,
Right.
Tennessee. He's an amazing luthier, and he builds guitars and he repairs old guitars and stuff. He just completely restored this thing. He made custom pickups for it. He you know, made the neck so it could hold the tension of steel strings, and, you know, put a truss rod in there and all that, and was able to use all of the components that were originally built by my grandfather behind bars. We were able to utilize all of that and then just sort of add to it to make it a fully functional, super badass guitar that has been resurrected, you know. And I don't even know if it has ever really made sound, but now it's like an amazing instrument. And my grandpa's been dead since 2001, so it's really just a trip to hear this thing play, man. It's like, you know, when I get feedback, it's like feedback from my grandpa, you know. It's like, it's crazy. It's a family jewel. It's a really special thing.
It's beautiful looking, and it sounds really good when you're playing it. So.
Yeah, Steve Mather was the guy who made the pickups.
Cool. Speaking of electric guitars, last night Marcus King sat in with you. You've sat in with him last year at Rooster Walk was the Kings and Strings set, and I've seen some other stuff that you guys have done together. There's a great acoustic version of Summertime out there on the YouTubes that is really good.
Carter Vintage Guitars, that's our home away from home.
Right on. And so tell me, are you guys going to make a record together or something? You're just going to keep running into each other on the road, or
Man,
any
I don't
plans?
know. We're both awful busy. Me and Marcus are like, we're kind of kindred spirits, man. It's a crazy thing. I'd love to do something like that at some point. Maybe a tour, I think, would be sweet. We're both so busy that we really have to look pretty far in advance to make something like that happen, but I think it could happen. I would obviously love to do it. I think I should just hop in their bus sometime and just like be in their band for a little while.
I think people would show up for that.
You know?
Or a package tour with the two bands would be pretty
Yeah,
great.
that would be really awesome too. Maybe someday that will happen, you know. And like I said, me and Marcus, like, we're both sort of like at the same place, you know. We're young dudes in our careers, or we're doing okay. And, you know, I actually meant to text that to Marcus after the show last night, but when I was laying in my bunk last night, I was falling asleep, and I was thinking, I should text Marcus, we're gonna be fine.
I think that's true.
Man.
I think that's true, man.
And being around him makes me realize that I'll be fine, you know. And like, it's like, man, we're gonna be all right, you know. We just keep playing and keep our heads down and keep playing guitar, man, you know, and we'll be all right.
Are there any other collaborations, either here at Delfest or out there on the road that you hope to put together at some point? Anybody else you want to try to play with?
Yeah, I mean, I have this crazy dream in my head about playing with Eric Krasno, Alwyn Robinson, and my bass player Royal, and then maybe like Deutsch on keys or something.
Sounds great.
That'd be a pretty killer band,
put it
right?
out there in the universe. Maybe it'll fall
Yeah,
together.
no, I manifest things like that. I just envision it and then hope and pray and keep on keeping on, and eventually you end up there on stage with your heroes and stuff. You know, it's like it's crazy.
Well, let's hope that keeps happening.
It's been an honor to be on stage at any point, or anywhere for that matter, and sing songs with Del McCurry and Ronnie and the boys. But man, I've had some moments singing with Del and my dad, and just gives you goosebumps. It's like you step back in time. I mean, Del's one of the last, of the real deal, man. The old guard, those real old school bluegrassers, man. Like when you sing a Monroe song with Del,
that's the direct connection.
He just does it perfect, and it's so beautiful, man. It's something really special. It's magic,
Right on. Well, we're all looking forward to more magic this weekend.
Yeah, no kidding. Me too, man.
Billy, I will let you get some rest before your set. Thank you so much for
Right
sitting down with me.
Thank you for having me, man. I enjoy
It's been a
talking to you
pleasure.
guys.
Maybe we can do it again.
I think so. Thank
Thanks
you
so much.